Great practice today. This week is so critical, so important for us as we continue to ramp the guys up, getting ready for gameplay. Really, this is the last week to attack it in terms of a volume standpoint because, we come back after this game, we got a bunch of tough decisions to make. We get really tighter with our roster, and that's a chance for us to keep sharp on our football, keep the conditioning we've developed, but really this is the week to really establish you guys are ready to play. And they look great today. They handled a significant volume that we threw at them today, getting them back out there quickly with both groups, the ones and the twos, to just keep working that volume. So I was really excited about their response. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better group of guys. The things that I challenged them with in our team meetings in the morning, they respond. It's just like, for me, it's like coming into a new team. I don't know what to expect. Am I going to have to really push guys to get the, the intensity and the style that we're looking for? But this is a group that already knows how to work. But then now we're just talking about the style of how we work, and they've been great that way.
Dave, the Bills have announced that they're not going to play their starters.
Yeah.
What's your outlook on that, and do you plan to play yours?
I'm open to playing our guys this week. The same thing I told you after the game is true, though. We have to look at what does that group look like if we put everybody out there. Are there enough of those guys to say, man, this is valuable for us to get these reps? Once we start to get into the depth of different positions, that kind of forces our hands sometimes on, can we play guys or do we need to play them? So again, today was a hard practice. Tomorrow's going to be another hard one. So for me, I have to make sure we get through these 2 days and I collect that information and make the decision as we go forward.
Would Bill's decision impact yours, Dave? I guess I've heard from some people that say if it's a bunch of second and third teamers on the other team fighting for a spot, they might be a little more gung-ho and put your guys at injury risk.
It does not. It's really just about the strength and health of our units, and if we can, get a good look of, the guys and get them that game experience, which we all know is so valuable.
Hypothetically, let's say you do play the starters and Bryce is out there. What are you wanting to see from them?
Operation, right? Just want to see things run smoothly. I'd want to see just the communication, the in-between drives, conversations, all that stuff that is so valuable, and he's kind of been just, around all those things as we've been doing it the last few weeks, hopefully to pick up some of those things.
Dave, in your experience in the league, what's the difference between a snap in a joint practice, snap in a preseason game when you don't know who you're going against necessarily?
Big difference, tackling to the ground. So you're going to get an elevated speed just naturally. Guys, we're pushing our guys to go full speed all the time. But as we know, they get into this competitive moment, and when the jersey color changes and it's someone new, there's an excitement to it. There's just naturally an excitement to that part of it. But we're not tackling to the ground. We're certainly not, cut blocking anywhere, and we're not doing some of the things that we would normally do in a normal game setting, so there's still a big difference. It's amazing to me always the levels of speed that our players take it when it goes from the most competitive thing you can create in a practice to what happens in the game, and the adrenaline and all those things and the lights and all the excitement of that. So that Andrew, pretty good?
Dave,
go ahead,
Dave, I know you don't want to get into the concepts that you use, but how has been the learning process with not just veteran players, but the younger players with the concepts you plan to implement?
Yeah, it's been a challenge for them. We're throwing all the words at them throughout this camp, and really the installs of new things probably stopped about 2 weeks ago. But now what we get into is reformationing, doing it out of a different personnel, a different presentation. Same thing for the defense. Can we get tighter and tighter on holding what we're doing so we're not giving any tells, all those things. It's all the minutia that really, on Sundays makes a difference for, holding your cards and setting things up, So that's the part we wanted them to feel in the last 2 weeks is as we change the pieces. This guy's used to running this route over here, and all of a sudden he's on the opposite side of the formation. Challenging him that way, that's been a great challenge, especially for the young guys who are first time kind of through some of these NFL concepts.
That's what I was going to ask you, is how much of the offense is in? So the offense is already in, it's just now creations of it, is that what you're saying?
Yes, absolutely. And so it's been in for probably, I would say, the last 10 days to 2 weeks or so. And now it's just about, challenging them with new presentation.
Anybody that's been injured, anybody close to returning at all? Not Trumbull, Thomas or?
Yeah, Dave, at this point, I kind of want to keep that a little bit closer to the vest, the closer we get to the season, with those guys. But, we got a bunch of guys that, are working really hard. They're doing all their stuff. They're progressing well. And so, you saw Tommy. Tommy's been out there. He looks great. He's a guy that the plan we had for Tommy was fantastic, and he's ramping up and getting ready to go. So
Deontay came up kind of gimpy
Yeah.
on one play, and then he re-entered practice, made a catch almost immediately. What happened there? Did you see that?
I didn't see it. He was fine though. It was like a play or two. He was back out there running.
You said after the Jets practice, you were concerned about Chandler's hamstring, and
Yeah.
he's back in pads
Yeah.
on Saturday. What's up there?
Yeah, best news we could have gotten there. Just he's healthy, he's out there, he's rolling. So I think more so is just a little bit of a scare, which happens to these guys. When things happen in a competitive environment. So I'm glad he's back.
Dave, when you're looking at the depth of the safeties room
Yeah.
that you got, how do you evaluate which safeties could maybe play nickel, which safeties could maybe play a different position at maybe on the outside of the cornerback? How do you go about evaluating that and choosing which players go where on it?
Yeah, just through exposure and practice, And if a guy hasn't done it at this point, that's not something we're expecting him to all of a sudden, start to understand and grasp, But I think we've only used a couple guys like throughout the spring and the summer that have kind of cross-trained there.
Dave, what was the deal with Luton, and how does that impact your quarterback plan for Saturday?
Yeah, Luton had something muscular in his shoulder. I was just really grateful that he came, short notice to help us out do that, and he did a fantastic job. He prepared under really short notice the first game, and then he had kind of some more games to do that. So it really, unfortunately, he isn't able to, finish this part with him. But again, another great opportunity for Jack Plummer, to get these valuable reps that is this time of year for a lot of the quarterbacks around the league who just aren't going to play for a while. Because all of us plan on playing our starter the whole season, And so these are just such critical reps for him right now. And I'm so glad that he was able to take a step from week 1 to week 2, make some more throws, looked a lot more comfortable. And certainly the understanding and grasp of what we're doing has always been there, but it was more just settling in and playing with those guys.
Was the knee injury for Lamar probably more serious than you thought it was, maybe during the game? Or is that like an injury? Obviously, you waived injured him. Is that something timeline-wise that you just couldn't?
Again, I want to stay away from timelines right now.
Was Jake's injury, or does Jake's injury impact your decision-making on whether to play Andy Dalton in this game, Bryce Young in this game?
It could. We got to evaluate Andy all the way through the week, see what we feel about there. And Jack's playing. He's going to play at some point. So.
With the corners that were out there kind of today rotating through, how different is it when you're kind of looking at a guy on offseason as maybe a depth player, and now all of a sudden one of those guys probably has to start in New Orleans?
What a great opportunity, right? What a great chance for these guys to apply all the things that they've been learning, the things they've been going through for camp, and especially just all the valuable reps, that the information we have on Deshaun Jameson, on DiCaprio Bootle, on Lamar Jackson, and then we had 2 corners who just showed up today, and so we get to evaluate new people as coaches. Like, I hate when guys get hurt and we don't have them, but then there's an excitement that I also have to kind of, hey, let's check out a couple of these new guys, and see if they can help us going forward. But it's about the opportunity, and it's a great opportunity for them to showcase what they can do as we make decisions after this next game.
You went back and looked at Saturday night. Shaw had played outside a good bit.
Yeah.
How did that go for a guy who was kind of learning nickel on the fly?
He did fantastic. He's played outside his whole career. Has had a little bit of nickel exposure, but that's the guy we drafted, to be able to play outside, and we're counting him to help us in some capacity this year. So he really showed us something cool in the game last week.
Dave,
We'll
you
do a
told
couple
us-
more questions. How much?
You told us a couple of weeks ago that the deep ball was going to be coming in practice.
Yeah.
It seems like the last couple of weeks we've seen it more.
Yeah.
Is it hard to not want to come in and push that right away? And what's the benefit of sort of building up to it instead?
I would love to come out and rip 50-yard touchdowns from day one on. That's my heart and soul. Quickest way to win a game is straight line, A to B, throw it to that guy, touchdown. And that sometimes the games work out that way. Our defensive scheme is fantastic. They play their leverage as well. They know how to use their help on these plays. We got guys who understand the scheme, who can run. It's challenging, especially in practice. So they've made it really hard, and we've gotten some. We got one today. We got a couple balls pushed down the field and some near misses. It's like those near misses are the ones that it's just like that's time on task. That's me to you factor. Learning this player. How does he maintain his speed down the field? Does he have another gear, or does he top out and I got to give him a high ball to maybe high point? We got a bunch of big, powerful guys in that room. So I think it's also just learning the chemistry of how to throw these balls to different players down the field.
We're going to do Sharon, then we're going to do Joe.
Hey, Coach, back here.
Yeah.
You were just saying that next week, obviously, you're going to have some tough decisions.
Yeah.
Like, how big is this game for guys who are really fighting for a roster spot, and how much of a difference can, what they do in this game make when it comes down to it?
It's huge. These opportunities, we hold them with the highest regard as a coaching staff. Certainly the players do too. So that we go into all these games with a game plan. We treat these games serious because we know this is an opportunity for these guys for their careers, whether it's here or somewhere else. And we have to regard every practice the same way. These next 2 days, today and tomorrow, these are full padded practices, and we're playing ball outside of not tackling each other to the ground. We're playing ball, so we use all of it to evaluate. But the games, right, to be able to refocus when you're tired, to refocus after a great play, to refocus after a poor play. That tells us so much about the resilience and character of these players, and it's huge, especially for how quickly it gets turned around and we have to make those decisions. I want the decisions to be hard. I don't want them to be crystal clear. I want it to be so gray and marginal that we have to factor all the things in, special teams, assignment-wise. What did he do when he had the ball in his hands on defense? Did he make the play? Did he catch the interception? Is he striking people with his pads? All of those things are so critical.
On interceptions, I know creating takeaways is a big point of emphasis. We saw Trevin have another pick today. What is it you've seen in his game that makes him, is he just a dude that's got good ball skills, or what is it with him?
I think he's just a natural football player, first and foremost. And while he still has a ways to go, learning the scheme and doing all that, when he's comfortable, he's big and he's fast and he's got great hands. And that's such a rare combination at the inside linebacker spot. But we really have three fantastic linebackers in terms of catching the ball with Shaq, with Josie, and with Trevin. And let me give a shout out to Pete Hansen, and working the drills and making sure they're constantly coming out of their breaks, catching footballs, and being the ball awareness is such a huge thing for our defense. They've done a fantastic job of emphasizing it, and then the talent comes into play. So he has great eyes with his QB's intentions and finishing on the ball.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.